It's Russ Wilson and the Nouveau Passé Orchestra. And everyone, thanks for coming in today. It just sounds great. It really does. Is this the biggest band we've had in here, Dennis?
Well, it's the orchestra, the largest orchestra. No, we've had larger bands.
It's the best, though, right?
Oh, without a doubt.
I would hope so.
Knocking the dust off.
Tell us about the band. You said about 7 years this group's been playing?
Started the orchestra in September of 2003, and actually started performing in March of 2004. Basically, I've always been an avid record collector, and then started finding out that you could get access to the actual orchestrations. So I thought it'd be fun, instead of sitting around playing records all day and listening to it, actually getting a group of guys together and playing the music live. And it's been a lot of fun.
Are you playing arrangements from back? I mean, was that an old arrangement? Is that your arrangement? How are these things working out?
Most of the arrangements that we play are what they call stock charts. In other words, you could actually go into a music store for 50 or 75 cents and buy an entire arrangement, 2 trumpets, trombone, 3 saxes, strings, and rhythm section for 75 cents. The most contemporary arrangement I think I have in the book is 1939. And the oldest arrangement that I've played is 1922, which is Limehouse Blues.
Right on. So do you put bookends on the music that you'll play with your group? Is there a time period that you not go past the war or something, or is
I try not to play the obvious big band stuff, simply because there are enough big bands out there that do that already. So I intentionally try to play stuff that's older, somewhat obscure, but still, musically pleasing to the ear.
Are the musicians in the room all local musicians?
Yes, yes.
Can you do introductions?
I'll be glad to. Let's start with the closest one. On string bass, Mr. Grant Cuthbertson. Please, no applause until after the trick is over. On trumpet, Mr. Russ Senna. And on the other trumpet, Mr. Rich Willie. And on trombone, Mr. Ken Krause. On the tenor saxophone, Mr. Walter Cross. On lead alto, Mr. Jim Anthony. And the young kid with all the hair over there, I hate him. that is 19-year-old Julian Samal. On, let's see, on one violin, that is Mr. Paul Strobel. On the violin in the middle is Miss Lillian Hall. And on the other end, the other violinist is Mr. Jason Baker. And our guitarist this afternoon is the one and only, infamously well-known Hank Bones, ladies and gentlemen.
All right. Do you have a name for the 30-piece? Has it got a...
Well, we just call it, Russ Wilson and his concert orchestra. Because it's not technically the Nouveau Passé Orchestra, because there are so many other musicians from other different bands that we just decided to give it a more generic name for now.
Did you ever get to meet any of the big masters, the big band leaders of the past, or perform with any of them?
I mean, I've met a lot of the older jazz musicians, especially when I was in college. There was a group of musicians that came through. They call themselves the Duke's Men, and I got to meet saxophonist Eddie Bearfield, who played with Chick Webb and Cab Calloway and those guys, and led a band of his own. Haywood Henry, who played with Erskine Hawkins, and a piano player by the name of Wild Bill Davis, who absolutely fabulous piano player and organist. And I've got to meet a few other band musicians that play with the big bands, but any of the old heavyweight leaders, unfortunately, no. That was I'm a little too young.
Right.
I'm only 43, so unfortunately, by the time I really got into this music and playing it, unfortunately, most of them had already passed on.
I've always liked music that's older than I am. Like it strips away a scene. It has a different context. There's something really appealing. You know what I mean? That it has this.
Yeah. I mean, well, I grew up a child of the '80s, of sorts. I mean, when I was a teenager, Devo, and Blondie, and I was never was never into that music. So I guess it makes me a little odd to some people.
Is he odd, everyone? Quick show of hands. Yeah.
You haven't got paid.
Yeah.
Hey, you haven't got paid yet. So
the veterans in the band didn't answer.
they,
The old guys didn't say anything.
yeah, the old guys didn't say anything. No, but now I've always. I mean, my dad was the one that got me hooked on listening to big band and jazz stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He had a bunch of those old Reader's Digest box sets,
Right.
you know, of the big band era, and
But the records are about that thick.
yeah, I mean they're LPs, but that's what I listen to, and that's what I grew up listening to, and still do. So that I've always listened to music that was much older than I am.
Mm-hmm.
So.
It's so much fun to watch this music. You know, the different sections and the counterpoint and the surges and all that kind of stuff. Hey, talk about big band music and the appeal, and maybe to you or to people in general.
I think for some people, it's to capture obviously a part of their childhood when they used to go out and hear live music. Years ago, you actually had to, unless you turned on the radio, which was all you had.
Right.
There wasn't TV. I mean, you had the radio, and it was AM. If you could pick in the station real good, you were pretty lucky. But most people, got their entertainment live, and there's a certain effect to hearing music. I mean, music like this live.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing to listen to it on the radio, but if you can get in front of a band with your best girl and dance to music like this, there's a certain, I wouldn't say it's an adrenaline rush, but it's very uplifting, and it's fun. It's fun, and people enjoy it. The neat thing about the younger generation today, especially those into the swing dance stuff, it's more fun for them to play to a live band. The kids have fun with it.
Yeah.
It's a little different, actually dancing to a live band.
Yeah. You've got a couple shows coming up on a Sunday night.
Mm-hmm.
The Big Band Weekend up there at the Grove Park
Right.
in Asheville. So a lot of bands playing there.
We're very honored to be a part of it.
Yeah. And then February 5th, which is a Friday night, I know you're doing a different kind of show.
It's called a Pops Concert. We're doing the music of the great Roaring Twenties band leader, Paul Whiteman. Members of the Asheville Jazz Orchestra, members of my orchestra, and some other jazz musicians. We're going to put on this concert on 5th of February.
Again, thanks so much for coming. It was really fun.
Thank you for letting us come.
Yeah.
It was a blast.
Good luck with those shows, too.
Thank you very much.
We are listening to WCW. Get something from John Schofield.